In this video, I'll show you how any newbie can create that popular teal and orange cinematic look to make your footage feel more high-end and eye-catching, all inside DaVinci Resolve. Let's do this. Alright, so the first thing I've done is I've taken my clips and I have dragged them onto the timeline, and all of these clips are going to be the teal and orange look. Having my time slider over here, I'm going to go onto the color page. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to name my nodes. So the first node is going to be named as base corrections. And in this node, I'm going to white balance the clip. So the first thing we can do is I'm going to select this white balance tool. I'm going to choose the white that is there from the subject's shirt, and it does a pretty good job of white balancing this shot. The next thing I'm going to do is adjust the lift like that. I'm going to improve the gain just a bit to reduce my shadows, and I'm also going to reduce the highlights. And the last thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to just slightly reduce the saturation as well. Next, let's go into our log, and in our log, let's improve the midtones and improve our highlights. So you can see the before and after of the image, and you can see that it is definitely heading in the right direction. I'm going to create another node, and you can do that by selecting this clip and then pressing Option S. Since I'm on a Mac, you can press Alt S as well if you're on Windows. And I'm going to be naming this as the teal and orange node. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my shadows, and I'm going to move this towards that teal color. In fact, I'm just going to key in values. I want my greens to be 0.22 and my blues to be 0.39. Next, let's go into our highlights and move this towards that orange that we see in the teal and orange look. I'm just going to add in values. Let's just improve our midtones, our shadows, and let's just reduce the highlights a little bit more. The last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to give a little bit of a contrast. Next, let's go into our high dynamic range color wheels. I'm going to work on the darks. I'm going to just improve that a little bit. I'm going to work on my shadows and reduce that a little bit. Next, let's go on to our light and improve that by about 0.09. Let's go over here, and in our highlights, we're going to just work on this a little bit and just improve that also by 0.09. Now next, let's move on to our S-curves. And in the S-curves, let's go into the hue versus hue. And I'm going to select the green areas of our footage. And we want to bring the hue of the green areas a little bit down. Now, last but not least, we need to add just one more node and the job is done. So let's just go over here, and I'm going to press Option S or Alt S if you're on Windows. And I'm going to create another node, and I'm going to label this as atmospheric grade. And in this node, let's go back to our S-curves, and I'm going to improve the highlights a little bit, and also going to bring down the shadows a little bit so that we have a little bit more contrast to our image like that. Next, I'm going to go into my blur sharpen, and if you see this, I'm going to reduce the radius to about 0.46. And the last thing we want to do in the atmospheric grade is I'm going to just open my effects library, and I'm going to type light rays. We're going to add this effect to the atmospheric grade node. This is available in the free version of DaVinci as well. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to increase the source threshold to about 0.720. I'm going to increase the length all the way to 1. I'm going to change this position to, if you see the little icon that DaVinci gives us every time we're using the light rays. Now we want the light rays to be coming from this area. Let me just add a value over here. I think that area makes much more sense for this shot, which means the light rays have to be cast onto the subject's face. In this case, it would be in this direction to make it seem a little more natural. And the last thing we're going to do is I'm going to change this color, and I'm going to make it resemble the yellow orange look that we're creating with this teal and orange node. And to finish it off, I'm going to enable this atmosphere in the light rays effect. Now, having done this, what we can do is I'm going to just open up my gallery. Selecting this, I'm going to right click on grab still. The reason I'm doing that is because now I can select both my succeeding clips, and I'm going to hit right click, apply grade. The only thing that I would change, because we've added the light rays, is I'm going to go into this footage. I'm going to go into the atmospheric grade and make a change to the atmospheric grade position. So I'm going to reduce the source and I'm going to change the ray direction and say at an angle, and I'm going to give it all the way to about 180. And we're going to make a few more tweaks because the brightness is a little too much for this shot, about 0.180. And I'm going to slightly reduce the gamma as well to make this feel a lot more natural. Now, similarly, let's just go to the last clip. And in this shot, you can see that, well, it's actually orbiting the subject. So what we're going to do is I'm going to animate the position X and Y. So let's just go over here and we're going to go into our keyframes. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to set a keyframe on the corrector 3. I'm going to set a keyframe on the first frame as well. And I'm going to move this all the way to this side. If you can see that this shot would be a lot more meaningful if the light rays were coming from this particular direction, since the camera is facing the subject at an angle where the sun would be towards the top left of the screen. And as we move forward, at this point, we want the light rays to come over here. I'll just give this a value of 0.5 and maybe make this a little bit more lower. Now, the last thing I want to do is I want to just reduce the brightness a little bit because it's way too harsh for this shot, so that it makes sense for this particular clip. And that's it. You can pretty much see that that teal and orange grade that you want for your clips is automatically been added, and it's that simple inside of DaVinci Resolve. I'm going to show you how you can quickly create that as LUTs so that you can use it on any footage and don't have to do all this the next time. So we're going to go back to our first clip. Selecting this clip, we're going to right click, generate LUT, 33 point cube. We're going to click that. We're going to create a new folder. I'm going to label this as my LUTs. And in this, I'm going to label this as teal and orange. So let's go back to the edit page, and I have these 3 clips that are ungraded. Now let's say I want to quickly drag and drop this onto the timeline and add a quick grade. Now what do? So select this clip. Let's go into our color page, and now let's open our LUTs. So under custom LUTs, I have my LUTs, and I'm going to quickly drag and drop a nice teal and orange look to this particular footage. So there you go. I hope this hack really helps you out. Alright guys, so that's it for this video. I hope you learned something, and if you did, then be sure to hit that like button and subscribe to my channel because I'll soon be sharing more cool and interesting creator and filmmaking hacks inside of DaVinci Resolve and more. Be sure to drop a comment down below and let me know what you want to learn next. And until then, I'll see you in the next video.